I'll start with the Chargers because I wanted to talk about the AFC West. I really wasn't watching intently the Chargers and the Cardinals, and the Cardinals aren't any good. I'm not trying to start off by taking away from the Chargers because the Chargers win was a good win. If you find yourself down by one, conventional wisdom says play for the tie, go to overtime, and see what happens. But a couple of weeks ago, I know I criticized Brandon Staley because Brandon Staley's a guy who was a go for it on fourth down guy. And then he finds himself settling for like 22-yard field goals. If you're a go for it on fourth down guy, that means when you're on the road in a division game, you got to go for the touchdown. You can't settle for a field goal 22 yards away with 15 seconds to go in the half. That's when you do go for it. But I think Brandon Staley is so young and he hears everybody around him talking and he's inexpensive and impressionable because that's what the Chargers hire, that somebody likely said to him, hey, dude, this whole go for it on fourth down thing is stupid. Okay. There's a way to play the game. And maybe there's a time where you have to go for it on fourth down, but more often than not, you should punt the ball and play to live another day. But when you are down by a point and you have a chance to go for the win, I give Brandon Staley all the credit. That takes guts, and when you thought he was anti-conventional wisdom, and then he seemed to have become conventional wisdom, for him to then go back to anti-conventional, I give the guy credit. Alex, can you show us what happened here yesterday in this Charger game? Let's take a look here. Browner, you must have been loving this.
Winning, baby. One of my one Justin's out, so my white Justin stepping up did real good for me.
Yeah. Black Justin didn't play yesterday.
Yeah, man. Black Justin didn't play yesterday. It was rough for me.
You go back to that highlight that we just showed for everybody that's watching on the YouTube clips page or watching on television on Cox Your View and listening on radio and audio podcasts. You're not hearing this, but there's 15 seconds to go in the game. The Chargers are down by one. They could kick the extra point and get into overtime, or what the hell, man? Let's just go for it. Let's get this win. Let's get out of here. So I give the Chargers credit because their playoff hopes are alive. Now their schedule's tough going forward. They got to play teams like Miami and Tennessee. These are all winning teams, but I don't know, Browner. That was a gutsy call yesterday to go for it and get that win.
I thought this is the guy who they hired. To be perfectly honest with you, this is the guy from last year that they've been looking for this year who decided not to show up until at least he showed up at the right time. Because what he said in the post game was they had ran their play, they had worked on their play, and they had got a good matchup, and so they executed it, and it went over well. But this is what everybody who puts a Charger helmet on was expecting all season long, and he's been selling them short. So maybe now this will unleash the go for it mentality again, and we'll start to see that fire come back.
I don't know, Alex. I'm seeing a smirk on your face. I'm kind of seeing a little
because listen.
That Padiva sort of.
I don't want to hear nobody talk about because normally they charger it up. Oh, they do this. Oh, they do that. They won the game because I tweeted a picture of none other than Herbolt himself, and somebody of the three of us, not me, said, "Oh, it was the Cardinals." Like, does it matter?
Well, it does kind of.
It wasn't me. I didn't even reply to that text. I didn't reply to that text. Yeah.
I said something? What did I say?
You're like, yeah, real impressive win against a great team.
Yeah, they're 4-8, the Cardinals. They were 4-7 going into this game. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Also, like, I want to – this is going to sound hater, but I really don't care anymore.
You know.
What are we giving him credit for?
Winning.
No, we're giving him credit for having the guts to go for it. That's all.
Is it
by the
gutsy?
Way, if he would have gone for it yesterday and not gotten it, I probably would have said the same thing. Like, no, I said, hey, it takes a lot of guts to go for it, but you're playing against a team that's 4-7, so why not play to live another day?
Yeah, a team who was running all over you and then decided to stop running the ball. Like, Cliff Kingsbury needs to be fired today. He's an awful coach. There is literally that offense that he's supposed to be good at. Like, what is their offense? When we've said this, how many times have we talked to Eric Williams about this? How many times have I said, before the Chargers even showed up in Arizona, how many times have I said, throw the playbook away because they look awful. The only time they look good is when Kyler does the Kyler thing. And yesterday, it was an example of that. They were running all over them, and they just stopped running the ball. And when it matters the most, they go 3-0. And the Chargers have like the 30th ranked defense. They're not a good defense. They're not even that good of a team. So I don't think that it's gutsy when everybody in the world was like, go for two. I text my buddies. I was like, when you guys score, because you only have to go 30 yards because the Cardinals can't even cover a punt return. When you score, you have to go for 2. And my buddy's like, oh, I don't know if we're going to score, like let's not. And then I was like, go for 2. They will score and you have to go for 2. Because when Cleveland didn't do it, yeah, it worked out for them in overtime, but they should have gone for 2. You know who else went for 2? The Jaguars, and they won. It's not even a question anymore in 2022. That's not a question at that moment in any game, a winning team, a losing team. If you kick the ball, that is the wrong call. I'm not giving the guy credit for making the most basic call of all time. It just happened to work.
I like it. You're convincing me that maybe it wasn't so gutsy. Maybe it's the thing you're supposed to do nowadays.
No, because Kevin Stefanski, and look at Lawhead's tweets, Kevin Stefanski was getting pooped on because he went for a kick to go to overtime instead of going for 2. When you're a lousy team, you got nothing to lose. The Chargers are still in 8th place. Like, they had to win that game. There was no guts about it. And everybody was like, oh, Brandon Staley's balls it is. Dude, please. That was the most basic call of all time.
It
worked
this
for them.
God, I love this. You say you're going to sound like a hater. You sound awesome.